What if I told you the richest country in the world wasn't the United States, Japan, or China? Instead, it was a tiny island you probably never heard of. This island had it all: immense wealth, luxury, and an extravagant lifestyle. But as the saying goes, easy come, easy go. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating rise and catastrophic fall of the world's richest country that bankrupted itself. From striking gold with bird poop to hitting rock bottom, this is the incredible story of Nauru. So without further ado, let's begin. The hidden gem of the Pacific. While the Vatican holds the title of the world's smallest country, Nauru is the smallest island nation, covering just 8 square miles. Home to fewer than 11,000 people, it's the third smallest country globally after Monaco and the Vatican City. Yet, despite its minuscule size, Nauru has a colossal story to tell about economic booms and busts, driven by an unlikely source: phosphate. The Golden Goose, phosphate. Imagine discovering your island is essentially a gold mine, but instead of gold, it's packed with high-grade phosphate, a mineral crucial for fertilizers, cosmetics, and animal feed. Nauru's fortune changed in 1899 when Albert Ellis, an employee at the Pacific Islands Company in Sydney, stumbled upon a peculiar rock. Initially dismissed as fossilized wood, it turned out to be phosphate ore of the highest quality. This discovery propelled Nauru from obscurity to unimaginable wealth. A stroke of luck. Nauru's phosphate bounty stemmed from its location along migratory bird paths. With no predators to disturb them, birds made Nauru their home, leaving behind massive amounts of nutrient-rich guano over millennia. This bird poop, combined with the island's limestone, formed layers of phosphorus, making Nauru's phosphate 84% pure, the highest quality ever found. At the height of the guano rush, this mineral was in high demand, revolutionizing agriculture and contributing to the global food supply. The wealth boom. By the early 20th century, 80% of Nauru was covered in this valuable mineral, transforming the island into one of the richest nations per capita. Germany, which colonized Nauru, quickly capitalized on this, exporting around 80 million metric tons of phosphate. Ports, processing facilities, and supporting industries sprang up, and during World War I, Australia seized control of Nauru, further exploiting its resources. War and recovery. World War II brought more turmoil as Japan invaded, subjecting Nauruans to forced labor. Post-war, Australia, the UK, and New Zealand resumed control, continuing phosphate mining at record levels. By the time Nauru gained independence in 1968, it was flush with wealth, but heavily reliant on phosphate exports. Despite the environmental devastation caused by mining, Nauruans enjoyed unprecedented prosperity, with GDP per capita reaching $227,000 in 1981, equivalent to $888,000 today. The downside of wealth. While Nauru's newfound wealth brought an era of prosperity, it also led to unforeseen consequences. With ample phosphate money and political independence, many Nauruans opted for early retirement, enjoying free education, health care, and royalties from phosphate earnings. The island saw an influx of luxury items. Sports cars became popular despite the lack of roads suitable for them. There's even a story of a police chief who imported a Lamborghini only to discover he couldn't fit behind the wheel. However, this period of extravagance masked deeper problems. Nauruans became heavily dependent on imported goods, including food, as local agriculture was virtually impossible due to environmental degradation from mining. This reliance on imports led to poor dietary choices, contributing to a severe obesity epidemic. Nauru's high GDP per capita didn't reflect the true well-being of its citizens, revealing a society grappling with significant health and economic issues. Health crisis. By 1980, Nauru faced a severe health crisis. Obesity. Increased wealth led to poor dietary choices, with junk food consumption soaring. Traditional healthy foods like coconut and fish were replaced by imported processed foods, exacerbating the crisis. Over 61% of Nauru's residents are obese, making it the fattest country on Earth. This health crisis is declared an epidemic by experts, with the island having the highest average body mass index among 170 nations. The mining industry devastated the natural environment, making agriculture nearly impossible, and limited access to high-quality food led to reliance on cheap, processed foods. The health crisis had severe economic implications, with rising healthcare costs and reduced productivity further straining Nauru's fragile economy. The decline begins. By 2001, Nauru's phosphate reserves were nearly exhausted and the country faced an economic freefall. The once rich nation was now broke, with unemployment soaring to a staggering 90%. Public services and infrastructure, previously funded by phosphate revenue, began to deteriorate. Schools fell apart, and basic amenities became scarce. Nauru's attempts to diversify its economy were mostly unsuccessful. The island dabbled in offshore banking, attracting hundreds of foreign banks. However, lax regulations made it a hotspot for illicit activities, including money laundering and tax evasion. This led to international pressure, especially from the United States, forcing Nauru to shut down its offshore banking industry in 2005. Despite these efforts, bad investments and fraud depleted Nauru's wealth, bringing it to the brink of bankruptcy. The country's once promising future was now overshadowed by economic despair and instability. The last resort. Desperate to stay afloat, Nauru turned to an unconventional source of revenue, hosting offshore detention centers for immigrants. Australia, facing its own immigration challenges, struck a deal with Nauru to house asylum seekers on the island. While this arrangement provided much-needed income, it did little to promote long-term economic stability. The detention centers became a controversial topic both internationally and locally, creating a complex relationship between Nauru and Australia. Nauru's heavy reliance on this single revenue stream made its economy vulnerable to policy changes and external pressures. Meanwhile, the island's infrastructure continued to deteriorate, and the health crisis persisted. Hosting the detention centers did not spur technological advancement or diversify the economy. Instead, it highlighted Nauru's dependence on foreign aid and external sources of income, keeping the island in a state of economic limbo and social turmoil. Present day. Today, Nauru's economy remains fragile, with a GDP of $133 million, making it the third smallest globally. The island's GDP per capita, once the highest in the world, has plummeted to barely align with the global average. Despite some economic growth driven by the detention centers and foreign aid, Nauru struggles with persistent challenges. The island's reliance on a single industry underscores the failure to diversify its economy. Environmental degradation from decades of phosphate mining has left much of the land barren and unsuitable for agriculture, limiting local food production and increasing dependence on imports. The health crisis, particularly obesity, continues to strain the limited healthcare system. Although Nauru experienced strong growth during its phosphate boom, the depletion of this resource has left the country grappling with instability and uncertainty. Nauru's story is a cautionary tale about the perils of economic mismanagement and over-reliance on natural resources. Nauru's rise and fall offer a stark lesson in the dangers of over-reliance on a single resource. Its story underscores the importance of economic diversification and responsible resource management. What do you think of Nauru's economic journey? Can it recover from such a drastic fall? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world's richest country that bankrupted itself, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell icon for more fascinating stories. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in our next video.